Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Glad to hear that. I'm Danielle. I'm hosting on behalf of my manager today. Is there anything I need to do to help you set up or get ready? I know you wanted to hop in early here and get prepared.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the share screen, I need you to give me permission to share my screen.
Okay. Sorry, I just need a second to figure out how to do that. I have not, we usually use WebEx, so I'm not used to using Zoom.
I think look down, like bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen and there should be, do you see a green button down there that shares screen?
Yes, currently only one participant can share at a time. Oh, here we go. Instead of only host, I'm going to change it to all participants here.
Or, okay, yeah, that's all right.
There's no other option, unfortunately. Are you, do you want to test it now?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, there we go. And I'm gonna click on this and then can you see that?
Perfect, I can see that.
Okay. How's that look?
Looks great.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
Terry.
I'm seeing what you're projecting, so that's good.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this share now and I'll just start sharing again when it's time for me to do my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I'm glad you're here, Christine. I'm also on the Sustainability Advisory Board, and I'm probably going to have to pop off for a meeting before it ends. But we really, this is great timing to have you here this time of year.
Great. Well, yeah, if we're gonna talk about water conservation, this is the time of year to talk about it, I'll tell you.
Well, and it's a wonderful library for us to have. I mean, you're part of like the cool library, the SAB super cool library, video library.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've got now a collection in our archives of several presentations. And once again, I will probably be advertising in social media and in the Westland Tidings about all the valuable presentations that we've got saved that people can watch at any time.
Wonderful. That's great.
Great to have you on board today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. We appreciate you inviting us to come and talk to you.
The Westland Public Library is, are you Danielle?
Sorry, what's that, Terry? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Are you Danielle?
Yes, I am Danielle.
I've never seen you before.
Responding by email. It's good to see you too.
Can everybody else hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, you're a little quiet. I don't know if it's maybe you're further away from your computer. You are a little on the quiet side.
Well, I have an external microphone and it is sometimes it's not cooperative. But I won't be talking much tonight anyway. So.
I'll be right back. I gotta put this down.
Well, good. We got a ways before the meeting starts, so that's good that everything works.
We're expecting, I think, 8 people today. So if they haven't trickled in by the time, maybe give it another minute or two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was finally able to get somebody, my regular person, to come out and check my backflow because everybody's so backlogged this year. It was so nice not to drag hoses around and to check for leaks on the drip irrigation. So, and then I found out my controller last year was set for like 3 duplications, and I'm like, oh, that's why my water bill was so expensive. You know, like it wouldn't have, I didn't do anything, but I must have inadvertently done something to my controller or pushed something to check it, but I had no idea that was possible.
My gosh. Well, you know, we highly recommend to people that they do at least one maintenance check on their irrigation system, like a big one, like right before you turn it on in the spring, and then throughout the summer, at least like once every 4 weeks or so, go back through, turn everything on, just look at it, you know, because things happen. And, you know, even a drip irrigation system, I mean, if something popped out, or like in your case, it was running 3 times more than it should have been, 3 times more often, I mean, that adds up, as you know.
I kept going, where's the leak? I can't find this. And this year, I mean, seriously, I didn't turn my system on until, you know, this last week, because we didn't
Right.
need to, it was so incredibly wet. And then by the time I remembered to say, come out and check my backflow, I was not on the top of the list.
Oh, well, God bless you for getting your backflow assembly checked every year. Good for you.
Well, I
Isn't
have
it
to do
kind
the,
of
annual-
required?
It's not kind of required, it's completely required, but you might be surprised to hear how many people try to get away with not doing that. And, you know, as someone who used to manage the cross connection and backflow program, it was just a constant battle. Not with the bulk of the customers that had the backflow assemblies, but, you know, there was always this one group that, you know, and you don't want to, I mean, we have, as public water providers, every authority to like shut your water off. You don't get it done, it's a condition of water service, you know, blah, blah, blah. And nobody wants to do that. You know, nobody wants to be that person. Yeah, it's a tough program, but thank you for doing that.
Yeah, every spring I have to do the check of the drip system, and usually there are several geysers that are squirrel created. The squirrels love those plastic fittings, and they just chew the dickens out of them.
Yeah.
We always have a few geysers that I have to fix.
Yep.
That might be a nice thing to speak to tonight too, because of like leaking systems. Like if, like I was in Lake Oswego, you know, a couple months ago, and I noticed there was water just running down the street. It was a nice day. So I was able to take a picture, and Lake Oswego's got a pretty good reporting system, you know, because that was city property and they could do something about it. West Linn, I'm sure we have a reporting system. It's a little more navigation, but like, it's awkward if it's somebody's house. I've done it for businesses before where I've called them and said, hey, your water's running down the street, but it'd be nice if there was a handy way. I'd want to know if somebody noticed water leaking. And
right. Well, you know, I mean, I myself had done this because often, you know, the irrigation systems will come on early in the morning when people are asleep. So they don't, unless they're really out there looking, they don't even really realize that it's going on. But I've done this before myself. I just wrote a little note and put it on a person's front door. It's like, hey, noticed you've got this, you know, issue over here. And you know, then it's not being invasive and you're sharing the information. And, you know, I'd like to think that most people would want to know, you know, if I was paying for my water to be running down the street, I'd want to know about it. So, you know, but yeah, I would just write a little note and put it on their door. I don't know. I suppose you could always call West Linn Public Works and ask for water and just let them know that here's the address and you notice this, and you know, I don't know if they'd call them or not, but.
Em, have you ever used the YourGov app?
I have, I mean, like I did at City of Portland, it interfaced pretty well there. I've tried to use ours. I don't remember where it is. I think I downloaded it at one point. I know there's stuff there. It's like, oh, where'd that go?
Yeah, I used it several times to varied results, but it is there and it's a pretty good reporting system. If the items you suggest get acted on.
I'll check it out again, because it's a good app in theory. It's just, I don't know if a lot of people know it exists.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know anything about it. What is it?
It's called YourGov, and it's an app you can put on your digital device. And I actually think you can also get it through West Linn, but you can get it at the App Store, YourGov, and you just set up where you are, and you can take pictures and report to any city department on any issues that you find. So it's like Kim said, in theory, it's a pretty good app when it's working.
I used to use it for City of Portland. City of Portland came out with it many years ago, and they weren't ready for it. The mayor went, Sam Adams was the mayor, and he's like, we're launching this. And then the city's like, we're not ready. And it directed the complaints to the right department. So you could take a picture and click the box for graffiti, or a tire in the road, or debris in the road, or a water leak, or whatever the category, put it to the right people. So I think West Linn did get the YourGov, and they have some of those categories where you can send a picture.
It's YourGov, like YOURGOV. Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
And some of them will let you put your if you want the locate on, it'll send them a Latin long. So if somebody needed to go out there to inspect it, if you choose to send that, it will tell you exactly where the incident was.
And that's an app that you can put on your phone.
Yes.
Let me see where it is for West Linn. It's really cool when it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I go to the city of West Linn website for reporting issues, it's not on there. I know it's up here somewhere. And they promoted it at some point.
We are still waiting on a few people, even though it's 7 o'clock. Do you want to wait another couple minutes before starting, Christine, or should we get started and let others trickle in?
I'm fine with waiting a couple minutes. If you want to wait like another 3 or so minutes, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Victoria.
Hello.
How are you? And Cheryl, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Okay, well, we're perilously close to getting started here. Christine, don't be intimidated by the underwhelming attendance, but like I said, these recordings are posted on our website and they're advertised. So who knows how many people after the fact will tune in and look at this. And it will be advertised also. So we certainly do appreciate you being a presenter.
do you want me to go ahead and get
So
started?
just wait a second, let's wait like one more minute here and then I'll introduce you and you can get going.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You know, registration numbers for these things are always higher than the actual fact. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'd like to welcome everyone to the July edition of the West Linn Sustainability Advisory Board Education Series. Tonight's presentation is water conservation and wise water use. It's a timely topic considering the season and drought conditions many parts of the country are experiencing. Our presenter is Christine Hollenbeck. For the last 15 years, Christine has been the public outreach and education and water conservation program coordinator for the Clackamas River Water Providers. The Clackamas River Water Providers are a coalition of cities and public water providers in Clackamas and Washington counties that all use the Clackamas River as a drinking water source. Her professional background also includes 4 years experience in landscaping. In 1998, she began working with public water systems in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. Christine assisted public water systems in all aspects regarding cross-connection control, water quality programs and water quality sampling and enforcement document. In 2003, she began working for Oak Lodge Water District as their cross-connection program coordinator, conservation lead, customer service, and distribution maintenance fieldwork. She's current chair and member of the Clackamas County Water Education Team. And so, Christine, thank you for being our presenter and take it away.
Thank you so much. That bio was a little long. I was trying to cut it down. I was like, oh, I'll just give you the whole thing, whatever. Anyway, it kind of gives a little bit of background. One of the things that I want to say before I get started is that what was interesting is that in public water conservation programs, when, you know, our biggest use of water is during the summer. You know, the water demand increases by like double to sometimes 3 times as much water. And it's mainly because of the fact that our customers are using water outside. You know, they've got swimming pools and fountains, and mostly it's how we manage and irrigate our lawns and gardens, you know, our vegetable gardens, our flower beds, and that sort of thing. So that water use. And when I worked at Oak Lodge, the manager there was like, hey, you think you would be okay with taking on our water conservation program? And it actually was a really, really good fit because of the landscape background that I have. So that has really helped me through all these, you know, past 20 years in drinking water. So I'm going to share my screen. I've put together a PowerPoint presentation. And oh, actually, you know what? Let's slideshow. Okay. And wait, real quick, let me go back here just a minute. Okay, yeah. Okay, so so like you said, I work for the Clackamas River Water Providers. And oh, the other thing I want to say before I get any further, if you have any questions, please just shout out. I don't know that I would raise your hand because I'll be looking at the PowerPoint presentation, but if you have any questions, please feel free to just butt in and have me stop. I'd rather answer your question as we go along, if that's okay with all of you. And if not, once I get done, you're more than happy, you're more than welcome to ask me questions when I finish. So the Clackamas River Water Providers, they are, like Terrence said, a coalition of public water providers in cities that all use the Clackamas River as a drinking water source. And, you know, for decades, they have all worked together because they have that drinking water source in common. And in 2007, they came together and decided it was time to formally put together a group. So they are a ORS Chapter 190 agreement, and our signers on that agreement are the City of Estacada, Clackamas River Water, City of Lake Oswego, North Clackamas County Water Commission. That is actually a treatment plant that is jointly owned by Sunrise Water Authority, the City of Gladstone, and Oak Lodge Water District. South Fork Water Board, which is West Lynn's drinking water treatment plant, and you jointly own that treatment plant with the City of Oregon City, Sunrise Water Authority, and then the City of Tigard came on as part of our group in 2012 with their partnership with the City of Lake Oswego. So those are all of the members of the Clackamas River Water Providers. Here are their logos. Now, while all of these cities and water providers, have created this group together, they hired 2 employees, one to be the water resource manager, and that is Kim Swan, and then the other person was to do the water conservation program and public education and outreach, and that's myself. So they all have their own autonomy, of course, but as a group, they have 2 employees, and that's Kim and I. And this is just kind of a graphic of the different service areas, the Clackamas River and the Willamette River. So just a little bit about our mission. We are to foster closer relationships with each other and to collectively fund and coordinate efforts regarding the source water protection, public outreach, and water conservation. So there's a lot here in terms of, for all of them to join together and then to pay for the 2 employees is much cheaper and much more fiscally responsible than each one of those agencies having their own water resource manager and their own water conservation person. This way they can come together and share the costs of that. And then one of the main things is that in our messaging, it allows us to speak with one voice. So all of our customers are hearing the same message rather than the same message, but said a little differently here, there, and everywhere. That can become very confusing, and particularly because we are all in such a small metropolitan area space together. So we're all watching the same news, we're all basically looking at the same newspaper and whatnot, so that it's helpful to have one voice. Said that already. So how we function, we have an IGA, we have bylaws, we have a board. Our Clackamas River Water Provider Board is made up of the general managers of each one of the public water systems and cities that are represented. We have bi-monthly meetings, and we have a 5-year work plan, and of course an annual budget process. So those are our two programs: source water protection and public education and outreach, and water conservation. I should have added that here, my apologies. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the source water protection program. So this is water conservation on the theme of supporting and protecting the Clackamas River watershed. We find that very valuable to all of us because it is our drinking water source. And so with our source water protection program, the goals are to identify, prevent, and minimize and mitigate activities that have known or potentially harmful impacts on the quality of the drinking water. So while we do not do any type of enforcement, but we have many partnerships with other agencies, ODF&W and PGE and Clackamas River Basin Council and the Soil and Water Conservation District and Water Environment Services. So we are out there with our partners, and all of us have a collective message around watershed health. And then we also, one of the goals of the program is to promote public awareness and stewardship of the healthy watershed ecology in collaboration with our stakeholders. Our watershed programs, we have studies, we do risk assessments, water quality monitoring. We have a contract with GIS for the different monitors on the gauges that are on the river. We have a hazardous material spill prevention group a pesticide reduction program, a septic system program. Again, these are all very specific within the Clackamas River watershed. We got a grant to have more drug take back boxes put within our county. Recreation mitigation, just kind of keep an eye on what's going on in terms of recreation in the river. Water quality permits that are being pulled around the river, forestry and PGE efforts, and then disaster preparedness as well. So we did a resiliency project. I'm just gonna, if you look down here at the very bottom, this is a link to this project. It's on our website, so you'll be able to go and look at that if you like. But really quickly, in 2018, the CRWP worked with PSU faculty and graduate students and the Institute of Sustainability on a multi-year project aimed at providing water resource stakeholders in the Clackamas River watershed with guidance for managing resiliency in the face of climate change. You know, we had one phase of this project was to establish a baseline of historical trends within the Clackamas River watershed. And then the second phase of the project was to continue that research with two objectives: applied climate science and climate adaptation planning. So like I said, if you want to know detailed information about this project, you can get to it by that link at the bottom. I do want to say that one of our partners is Portland State University, and we often work with faculty and graduate students from the university, and we pay them a stipend to do research projects for us that we otherwise would not really be able to afford. So this is a great partnership. It works for the student, and then it works well for us. And so these are just, I'm going to just go through these slides. These are some pictures of some of the things that that we have produced, and this is specific to pesticide reduction program. We did a field to faucet brochure that was in partnership with the Soil and Water Conservation District. Over here on the right hand side, the pledge, the pesticide pledge. This was a project that we worked hand in hand with the Clackamas River Basin Council to help people who live within the watershed take the pledge. It's very similar to, remember when Metro did their natural gardening pledge? Do you guys remember that? And if you agreed to, you know, not use herbicides and fungicides and that, and fertilizer in your yard, you would get the little metal plate and had the ladybug on it. Does everybody remember Metro doing that program? Yeah, so this is very similar to that same program, but it's more specific to, you know, pesticide wise and pesticide free use within the watershed. We also identified that within the Clackamas River watershed, there were a number of failing septic systems, which equate to, you know, things getting into the river that we really wouldn't want there, that could potentially degrade water quality in the river. So we put together a septic system program, and this is just an example of some of the collateral that we developed for that program. And basically, we are offering people money. We have a program that offers people funding to help them, A, have their septic systems inspected, and B, to be able to help them afford to get their septic systems fixed. Around recreation in the Clackamas River watershed, this middle graphic here is actually a sign, and this sign is located at Barton, MacGyver, Carver Park, Riverside Park, and Clackamas Park. And then we have these brochures over here on the left hand side that has, you know, the same kind of information, kind of embellishes on that information some. And basically it is to remind people as they're putting their boat into the water this river is a drinking water source for over 300,000 people. So we try to get that front and center for people so that they will be thinking about that as they are on the river fishing, boating, and floating. And then over here on the right-hand side, that's a graphic of the brochure that we put together after we had, I think it was 6 more of the drug take back boxes put in the Clackamas County area. At one time, there were only 3, and now there are 9. And this brochure kind of gives you an idea of, well, it tells our customers where those drug take back boxes are located, and also some information about what you can and cannot put in one of those boxes. We also have a hazardous materials spill program. We work with NRC, and it's kind of the same kind of thing over in this industrial. If you see the image here in the middle, there's a Clackamas River, and then that area there is that industrial area there in unincorporated Clackamas County, right off of 212. And all of that area, the storm system is set up so that the rainwater goes directly to the river. And so of course that means that anything that rainwater picks up goes to the river. And with all of those different industries in that area, with the opportunity of having some kind of spill, there is a likelihood that anything that is spilled on the ground can go right to the river. So we are working with the companies down there, the industries down there. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I don't know when it's going to happen, but maybe not. Anyway, and then we also, down here in the right-hand corner, we also put these little markers on the storm drains that tells people, hey, this drains right to the river. So that's another project that we do. And so now I'm going to move on to our public education and outreach program, which is the program that I manage for, and the water conservation program that I manage for the Clackamas River water providers. We have a really good youth education program. We have all kinds of partnerships. I kind of rattled off a few of the local agencies that we work with. I go to all of our member community events that, for instance, the West Linn Old Time Fair, I will be there this Saturday. I go to the events and I, put up a booth, and I have lots of brochures and collateral and free water conservation devices to give to our customers. We have a very good conservation rebate program, which I'm going to talk more about here shortly. We have a free residential landscape water audit program. And then, of course, we have lots of outreach materials and conservation tools. We also are a partner with the Regional Water Providers Consortium, and I wanted to point them out here as one of our partners. So the Regional Water Providers Consortium is the consortium of cities and public water providers in Clackamas, Washington, and Multnomah County. So it's kind of a 300-foot level sort of, education to our customers, but with partnering with them and working with them, the water providers in the cities pay dues to be members of this group, just like our water providers pay dues to be members of the Clackamas River water providers. And with this group, we are able to do, you may have seen on TV, I think we're working with Channel 2, and they've had, they have water conservation little bits during the news. We do radio pieces about water conservation in the summertime, and then also in the wintertime, indoor water conservation tips. This group also focuses on emergency preparedness and the regional drinking water coordination around our sources and anything else that the group needs to do. So there's 24 water providers that are members of this group, and they're a wonderful partner. So in all, the Clackamas River water providers, for all of our water providers together, we have 52 schools and 4 different school districts that we work with. In your area, we have Bolton, Cedar Oak, Sunset, Trillium Creek, Willamette, Rosemont, Westland High School, and Three Rivers Charter School. Our youth education program, we have a teacher resource page on our website. We have small $250 grants available for each teacher, as long as they're using the funding to go towards something that has to do with water education. We will help pay for that. We have an interactive watershed map on our website. We do in-person treatment plant tours. There's 5 treatment plants, well, 4 treatment plants on the Clackamas River, and then there's the City of Lake Oswego Westland, City of Lake Oswego Tiger treatment plant located there in Westland. When COVID came around, we actually did virtual treatment plant tours. We taped those tours, and those are also up on our website. And we did virtual classroom presentations, again, because of COVID. But you know, now that things with COVID has lifted, I am going back into the schools and doing some of the water conservation and watershed health presentations to our students. Will Horniak is, I think you're all familiar with Will. He's wonderful. And we have worked with Will for ages now. And he goes into our schools and tells stories to the kids that are water centric and, you know, protecting the watershed and water conservation messages. And that's wonderful. And then we also put together a Clackamas Hero activity book for students 3rd grade to 6th grade in the elementary schools.
Christine, I have a question. Is it, you said it's possible that you could provide tours of the treatment plant? Would we contact you if we wanted to do that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We would love to have you. What we'll do is, and this is what I do with everybody, whether you're, you know, a private citizen or a classroom or whomever, I will, yes, just email me. I'll give you my email address now if you want to write it down, but at the end, I do have a page that has my contact info on it, but my email is Christine, CHRISTINE at Clackamas Providers, that's one word, .org. And yes, if you are interested in a treatment plant tour, I will get one put together for you. And I most often, unless something happens, I also like to take the tour with you so that if you have questions, I can help answer those questions and then support the staff that are giving the tour at the treatment plants. So yeah, you would have a tour of South Fork Water Board.
Good. Is there a minimum and maximum number of people for these tours?
I think at South Fork, because it's a fairly, you know, small space, I think at the most, like a 12 to 15 people would be about a maximum.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. We love doing tours. We also do an annual water conservation calendar. I have put these down at the library in West Linn, and this is something that we invite all of our elementary school students and our teachers and the students. We create a theme every year, and then the students create a picture that, you know, that depicts the theme. And then we go through, and we usually get about 600 pictures, and we go through and we pick out 13 of them. And then for 2 weeks, those 13 pictures will be up on our website, and it gives the community and the school, the families, an opportunity to vote for which one of the 13 pictures will be on the cover of the calendar. And this is one of our, you know, most popular projects that we do. The kids love seeing their work in this calendar, and the parents really enjoy it as well. So just some general outreach here. We have a quarterly newsletter. You know, we do quite a bit of, you know, helping people understand, you know, where their drinking water comes from, helping them understand the value of their drinking water. Why does it cost what it costs? You know, how do you, explaining to people what their water utility bill, what all of that is and why it costs that what it does. So just some, from the source to the tap, we have a booklet called How Water Systems Work. Just a few more things for us to kind of want people to make that connection. One of the things that I want to point out is that the Clackamas River is really unique in being a drinking water source in that it's very visible to all of us. Like it's right there. We see it, half of us drive over it, more than half of us drive over it every day. A lot of people live right next to it, work next to it, recreate in the watershed or on the river. And most public water system sources, people don't really see them. So that's something that's really unique for all of us with the Clackamas River watershed. And so we really try and make that connection for people, hoping that if people will adopt some sort of ownership about the Clackamas River and be like, that's my river, that's my drinking water, we need to do everything we can to protect it. Again, like I said, we do have a quarterly newsletter that we put out to our customers. If you go to our website, you can actually sign up for the quarterly newsletter. It'll send me an email and I'll get you on our list if you're interested in having that. Or if you like, you can just send me a direct email, since you all have my email address now, and I can put you on the newsletter list. And then our conservation program, like I said before, we really do, we focus on, that summer use of the water, because we use 2 times to 3 times more water in the summer. But we also, there's water conservation for year round. These are just some examples of a couple of the brochures that we've done. We've got our calendar, our water calendar has water conservation tips for each month as you go through the calendar throughout the year. This is an example of our rebate brochure over here on the left, and then on the right, this is a brochure that we put together for our free landscape water audits. We have hired a landscape professional to do these audits for us, and he will come out to your home and he'll do a audit of the irrigation system, of whatever you're using as a watering system. He'll take a look at your lawn, he'll take a look at your your flower beds and your garden beds and this and that, and then he'll do a report giving you some information and suggestions of things that you can do to make your outdoor water use much more efficient. And that program we've been doing for 3 years, maybe 4 years now. So it's been very popular, though. It's a great program. We also have an indoor water audit kit that you can request one of these from us, and I'll put it together for you and send it to you in the mail, and it comes with a booklet. This is actually an image of the front of the booklet, and the booklet and the bag that it comes in, and there's a couple things in the bag. And basically it walks you through every place inside your home that you are using water and things to look for, drips and leaky toilets and, just, making sure your washing machine isn't leaking and all of those things, hot water heaters and whatnot. And to help you, identify any trouble that you might have. And then it tells you what you can do to fix that. We also give away, I have lots of low water using shower heads. They work great, when they first started coming out with water efficient fixtures and devices, they weren't so great, but they, that is, engineering has absolutely solved that problem. So I've got lots of shower heads, lots of bathroom faucet aerators and kitchen faucet aerators, leak detection tablets for leaky toilets. We also have outdoor hose spray nozzles that are water efficient nozzles, and they work really, really well. And one of the things I love about those hose nozzles is that they, it's got the adjustable spray, and it works great for hand watering your plants because it uses less water. It doesn't like put a deluge of water all over your plants and like, messes up the dirt and it goes everywhere. That does not happen with these spray nozzles. So by the way, if you're going to be at the West Linn Old Time Fair on Saturday, I will be there and I'd be happy to give you one of those for free. I'll have them with me to hand out to people. Do we have any questions? Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to talk about this annual summer watering campaign, and this will be our 4th year with this campaign. And then when I'm done talking about this, I'm just going to invite you to ask me any specific questions that you might have. And Kim, before I got started, before everybody came on, you had asked me to talk a little bit about leaking irrigation systems. So if you would help me remember to talk about that, that would be great. But really quick here, I want to talk a little bit about our summer watering campaign. And this will be the 4th year that we've done this campaign. This campaign is specific to late summer, early fall time of year. And what it is all about is hoping and educating our customers, giving them all the information they need so that our customers will stop or really, really reduce their outdoor water use, specifically their irrigating and the water that's used on your lawns and gardens, and either greatly reduce it or stop that water use by the beginning of September. And the reason for this is that it's that time of year that we have endangered species of fish coming up the river to spawn. And in that late summer, early fall time is when, we haven't had any rain for a long time. It's been very, very warm, and the river levels are at their very, very lowest. And in most cases, the river is also fairly warm, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the water is so low. So our summer watering campaign is really targeted, like I said, to help our customers stop using water, their outdoor watering, beginning in mid-August, to start cutting that down and then to be able to just shut it off by the beginning of September. And, I've had a lot of people say to me, well, okay, if I do that, but then what about, I have some potted plants or this and that still might need watering, and that's fine. You can, you could hand water, supplemental water to get supplemental water on your plants. But the reality is by mid-August and clearly into September, our nights have gotten much longer, and it's that time of year that we start noticing things really cooling off in the evening. They're being dew on the grass. If you're somebody who lets your lawn go dormant in the summer, like I do, it's that time of year that I see my lawn start to come back up because it is cooler and it's moister. And so in reality, you really can start cutting down on that water use in mid-August. So, the big ask is that everybody stop doing their watering by the beginning of September. So what we do is we, beginning in mid-August, we have an entire section of our website that goes live specifically for the summer watering campaign. And this is what the main page will look like. And this little water conservation meter down here that's got the green, the yellow, and the red, you'll see that meter on the front of our website as well. And they'll have an arrow telling you where are we? And this is, again, all based on the river levels. And if the river is really, really low, you'll see it, the arrow will be in the red. And then we will actually give you, right there, just some action tips of things that you can do to help save water and to help keep water in the river. We have lots of articles. We highlight our audit program and our rebate program. And like I said, lots of articles for people to read, like, what can I do to help make my outdoor watering more efficient? In fact, I just recently found a really wonderful article about checking swimming pools for leaks and what to do with that. And so I'll be adding that article to this year. So part of the summer watering campaign, we are encouraging our customers to take a pledge, and you can do this online, or you could take the pledge in this. It's kind of like a rack card, a folded rack card, and you take the pledge, and whether you do it online or you do it here with the card, then you send it to us, and we will mail you a sign. It's about the size of a regular piece of paper. And that's this image you see over here on the left, the fish on the run, irrigation done, doing your part to keep water in the Clackamas River. And you can put that in your yard. And, that would be some way that you could show to your neighbors that, hey, my lawn may not be green and lush, but this is why I'm doing that. Last year I actually had a few different like neighborhood association folks get a hold of me and asked me to bring them like 20 signs so that they could each put them in their yard, showing that they're trying to support our summer watering campaign. We also, the parks departments for some of our cities have put these signs in their parks. So they have chosen to irrigate, the areas of the park that get a lot of use, and then the areas that don't, they weren't watering, to kind of help cut down on that outdoor water use. And I call that walking our talk. If we're going to ask you to cut down, we should be doing the same thing. So yeah, so this is great. They're nice signs. Like I said, they're not really big and they're not terribly obnoxious. So if you're interested, we'd love to send you a sign. And I manage all these programs myself, just me. So if you send an email or if you call, it goes right to myself. And so I'm always really good about getting back to people. And there's a picture of the yard sign. Just wanted to check my time. So this is our website address, clackamasproviders.org. Again, my email. This is Kim, our water resource manager, her contact information and her email address, and then my contact information and my email address. So Kim, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Great. So earlier, before everybody came on, you were talking about what to do, if you see that someone's irrigation system is leaking, what would be a good way to manage that? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was curious more on the residential side, because I've done night work before, because we were talking about how irrigation systems will often come on during off hours. So 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't know, or 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't know your irrigation is on. So I've sent notices to companies saying, found somebody and said, hey, your system's leaking and running down the street. And I've done it with cities, but I wasn't sure how to approach residential, because I would want to know if something had popped off and was running down the street.
Right. And so we were talking about that earlier, and I actually told Kim that myself, because I don't anymore, but years ago I used to take my daily walk very, very early in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. and every once in a while, somebody's irrigation system would be on, and like the spray head would be broken. It would just be a big geyser. And I think it's absolutely fine to just write a little note and pin it on a person's door or maybe on their mailbox so that they would see that. Like you said, that if that was happening in your yard and you didn't notice, but somebody did, one of your neighbors did, you would like to know. That can add up so quickly, and people wonder why, their water bill goes up. But if you've got any kind of a leak, that adds up very, very fast, and particularly those irrigation systems. Terrence was saying that he has an issue with squirrels chewing on the plastic parts of his drip system, and he knows that every year when he turns that drip system on, he's more than likely going to have a geyser somewhere that he needs to fix. So we were kind of having this conversation about in-ground irrigation systems, and the thing that we preach to our customers, to you all, is that number one, always do a thorough maintenance check of your irrigation system before you turn it on in the spring. So first of all, do that. But then throughout the watering season, once every 3 or 4 weeks, turn it on, go outside, look around, make sure that you're getting good uniformity, good coverage. Make sure that none of the spray heads have been tipped off to the side. They're not, concrete doesn't grow last time I checked. So you want to make sure it's all on the grass or in the beds, make sure that nothing has broke. You could also tell sometimes if there's a break underground, that if you have an area that seems to be wet all the time or an area that is greener than the rest of your lawn, that would be a hint that possibly you've got a leak going on there. But it would really, it saves a lot of water, but it can also save you a lot of money to keep an eye on your irrigation system and make sure everything is running correctly. Since we are talking about irrigation systems, I want to talk about our rebate program real quick. And I do keep different brochures and whatnot down at City Hall. And I do keep a stack of our rebate brochures down there. We have a $75 rebate for if you purchase a new Energy Star clothes washer. We have a rebate for up to $100 if you purchase a new EPA WaterSense high efficiency toilet. And in some cases that pays for the whole toilet. We have a rebate for a hose bib timer up to $25. We have a rebate for a rain sensor, and this is an addition to your irrigation controller. And basically the rain sensor, if it rains, it will shut off your controller so you're not watering while it's raining outside. And then when it stops raining and that dries up, then your irrigation system just comes back on all by itself. So we have a rain sensor. We have a, and that's, that's up to $25. We also have a up to $100 rebate if you want to replace your old irrigation controller with a new smart controller. It's an EPA certified smart controller. We give $100 rebate for that as well. Oh, and we also, for the actual spray nozzles, the spray stream for the irrigation system. So the old spray type nozzles are not very efficient. They have a real high evaporation rate because they put out such small drops of water. And now, and for some time, you can buy new spray nozzles. They call them multi-stream spray nozzles. They're bigger drops of water. They're the ones that kind of go, and they look like these long water arms going out. They're very, very efficient in the water use. And we give up to $60 if you want to just take out that old spray nozzle and put in a new one. So, and these are annual. Of course, the smart controller rebate and the clothes washer rebate are basically a one-time thing because, you know, generally they last a very long time. But like the toilet rebate, a person can, you know, you can replace one toilet 1 year and then the next year do another toilet. You know, you could do a toilet each year until you've replaced all of your toilets. But we have one of the best rebate programs for our customers in the metropolitan area. And I'm very proud of our rebate program. And we get lots of people that that apply for our rebates. So are any of you familiar with any of our like our rebate program at all, or have you heard of our landscape audit program?
I've heard of your rebate program, but not the landscape audit program, which might be good to take you up on.
Yeah, if you want to know more about the landscape audit program, you can go to our website, that clackamasproviders.org. And if you look under conservation and outdoor, and then there'll be a little list and you'll see landscape audits. And you can actually apply for it online. We have a form for you to fill out, and then it'll just email it to me. And then what we do is our landscape contractor, his name is Larry Potter. He will contact you directly and schedule the audit with you. And so then it's just kind of between you and him.
I've got a rather, I don't know, esoteric, nebulous, speculative question, but it's been concerning me for a long time. And I was wondering, are there any numbers for how many more residential and commercial customers Clackamas River water can support, especially considering the needs of the river flows for fish?
Yeah, well, I don't, you know, in regards to each individual member, I don't know what their maximum, you know, population is, and in regards to, you know, how that relates to the amount of water that they take from the river is based on their water rights. And I don't, you know, off the top of my head, I don't have that information for each one of our members. You know, it's not, and again, I'm going to go back to the fact that, you know, we can all see the Clackamas River, and in the summertime, everybody can see it going down. And, you know, with climate change, you know, with these longer, warmer, hotter summers, and yes, with the growing population, you know, we are using more and more water out of the river. But that's also why we are working really, really hard to have as robust of a water conservation program as we can, to be able to provide you with the tools that you need to be better efficient with the water. And this was quite a few years ago, and I actually think I was at the Gladstone summer festival that they do, a community festival. And I had a woman, I remember it was a woman, and she came out to me and she said, "You're the water provider. It's your fault that all the water is being taken from the river, and you need to stop taking all that water from the river." And I looked at her and I said, well, okay, but how this works, it's a supply and demand. If you're using it, then we are taking water from the river, treating it, and sending it to your home. If you stop using the water, then we stop taking it from the river. the only storage capacity that any of our water providers have is what they have in their reservoir tanks. And that water has a fairly quick turnover. So if you're not using it, we don't take it. So again, yeah, it's concerning. It is concerning. One of the reasons why we started this summer watering campaign 4 years ago was because the river levels are so terribly low by the end of summer and the beginning of the fall, when we get that fish migration, that fall fish migration. And we're just trying really, really hard to provide our customers with education and with tools and devices to help you all cut down on the amount of water that you're using. But to answer your question regarding population and, when do they stop in terms of being able to, provide water to their population, I honestly have no idea for the individuals what that number is. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I know that, Portland has Bull Run, but as a backup, they have a series of wells along the Columbia River east of the airport. I was wondering if Clackamas River water has any kind of backup other than the river.
That's a great question. So Sunrise Water Authority actually has, I think it's 3 wells, and 2 of them, they actually use, it's called ASR, Aquifer. It's an Aquifer Recovery System, ARS, Aquifer Recovery System. And so basically what they do is that they take water, extra water from the treatment plant in the winter time and put it down in those 2 wells, and they hold the water there, and then they pull it back out in the summertime. So they're taking water in the wintertime where we have more water in the river, saving it for in the summer, and then using that extra water in the summertime when their demand is up. Other than Sunrise, none of our other water providers have a backup water source, with the exception of, we do have a couple connections to the Portland Water Bureau. So if something major happened, we would be able to receive water from them at a couple different points through a couple of our water providers. And all of our water providers, the Clackamas River Water Provider members, are connected to each other in some form or fashion. So if something happened, for instance, and this actually happened a few years ago, it was pre-COVID, it might have been 2 years before the pandemic. Funny how everything now in my mind is like, oh, the pandemic was here and what happened before. But one winter at the South Fork Water Board intake structure, a tree came down the river, slammed into the intake structure, and took out the pumps, and they had to shut down. They were not able to pump water from the river and to pump it up to the treatment plant. So they had to shut down. And then, so when they shut down, then they called the North Clackamas County Water Commission, which is down river or up river about another 2 miles. And the commission was able to provide South Fork with water for the 3 days, I think it was, possibly 4 days, while the intake structure was being fixed. And nobody in Oregon City or West Linn had any idea that your treatment plant was, well, the plant wasn't broken, but the intake structure was. So we do have each other as a backup, but as far as having another source, we don't have that. And I do know that a couple of our members have done studies, like well studies, to see if it would be feasible to drill a well. For instance, Oak Lodge had done that at one time within the last 10 years and found that there was not a good source of water to be able to drill a well and do that. So yeah, so that's a weak link for sure.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? Is there anything specific that you were hoping I would talk about that maybe I didn't touch on?
Oh yeah, do you have information on your website about amount of water to use in irrigation, like for a lawn, and what are the best types of measuring devices to use to gauge how much water you're using?
Yes, yes, actually, in fact, this right here is a draft copy of our newsletter, which is going to come out next week. It'll probably be on the 20th. And I actually have a link here. I talk about how much water we should be using, excuse me, to water our lawns, and to sign up for the weekly watering number, which is something that we get from the Regional Water Providers Consortium. And it explains what the weekly watering number is, but I also have a link on there to give you the ability to kind of audit your watering system to find out how much water you're putting out. And then, you know, it's sort of that, have you guys heard where they say 1 inch of water a week is efficient water for a lawn? This helps you figure out how long do I run my irrigation system to get 1 inch of water. And so I've got a direct link to that information to help you be able to audit your own irrigation system. And we do have that information on our website as well.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You bet. You bet, you bet.
Any other questions from the assembled masses?
I put a link in there for the Clackamas providers. And Christine, I already requested an audit. So.
Oh, good. Good. I'm excited.
So thanks for sharing that for the form. It was, well, it was interesting when you brought up the rebates, and I thought, oh, you know, it'd be interesting to see what options there are for the controller or how that could make a difference. So.
Yeah. And I can tell you that those smart controllers, they have to be EPA WaterSense certified. But those smart controllers, those are the stuff. They really, really help you fine tune, you know, and get your in-ground water irrigation system fine tuned, and to make sure you're being as efficient with that water use as you can. Those are pretty nice. And the rebate that we have, that $100 rebate, often pays for the controller in total. Sometimes they're a little bit more than $100, but they're usually right around $100. So it's a good rebate. It's a really good rebate. So if you do think of any questions, or if there's anything that you're wondering, or if I, you know, missed something, or if I misspoke, you've got my email address. Please feel free to email me. You can also call my office number, which is the 503-723-3511. I work from home now, but we have a wonderful answering service that emails me and also sends me a message on my phone telling me that I've had a phone call and that there's a message to me. So I will get right back to you or to anyone else that calls. You know, I really like to try to help people understand how all of this works and how it relates to us as individuals and individuals in our communities. And speaking for the Clackamas River Water Providers, we really appreciate the opportunity to talk to all of you. And we really, you know, our goal is to really connect with everyone and to be a good resource to you for protecting that river. You know, we all need it. And it's a great drinking water source and it's a beautiful river and you know, to do everything we can to take good care of it. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Well, Christine, I really do appreciate you taking the time to share some very good information. There are a lot more programs in your organization than I imagined. So it's very good information. I appreciate your time. So thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
Christine. It
Thank
was
you.
very interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting us.
Okay,
Shall I
well,
just hang on until you're done?
yeah, I guess we're ready to roll. Danielle, thanks for moderating tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
thank you, Christine, for joining us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Everybody have a good night.
Okay, thanks, Christine. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Night.
night.